Hi everyone, my name is Verona and welcome to the Kardavox Academy channel where usually we cover hard rock, metal songs, but today I really insisted to cover this new song by Bruno Mars and Lady Gaga, Die With A Smile, and I'm here today with Mark, the one and only.
Hello, that was a good
everything.
intro. Yeah, I think that was your first intro to these like long form vocal analysis
Yes,
videos.
it's my
And you know what?
first.
Pro level. Excellent job.
Thank you. So
yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm really excited to show you that song. This is not the
Mhm.
first time that I'm listening, but it's going to be your first time. So I can't wait to analyze it with you and have your opinion on it, on the vocals of both Bruno Mars and Lady Gaga and the whole song in general. And also, just for those who are new, I'm a pop singer and a clean singing coach. So basically singing coach, right? And you are
Mhm.
and you are
Basically.
the harsh vocalist, vocal coach. Can you give us an example for the people who are new to the channel and don't know who you are and what you do?
Yeah, good. Yeah, okay, I will. But yeah, I mean, essentially, so like you're saying, Verona, this started out as like a deathcore, death metal channel, and so I perform and I teach a lot of like types of vocals. But it's a wide world of music out there, which is one of the main reasons we reached out to you and asked you to join on. Because there's as a lover of metal, I'm also a lover of all sorts of other genres. And so this little flip flop where you're taking your expertise in like the wide world that is pop, like it's a huge umbrella, like we talked about in our last video.
Yeah.
And this time, I've showed you, I was like, oh, check out Spirit Box, oh, check out Ginger. And now you're like, oh, check out Bruno Mars and Lady Gaga, which like both great artists, but not people I like follow,
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting.
And I'm sure you're
really
going to be
don't know.
surprised by this one, especially since the last you heard, I think, of Bruno Mars, you told me it was Uptown Funk. So we are elsewhere.
that is, with the exception of maybe hearing something of his on in like the store, the grocery store or something, or like, whatever, maybe I'm like in an Uber. The last song where I was like, oh, I'm going to check out Bruno Mars was Uptown Funk. And it's
been a while.
Again, it's been a while. And it's just because like, as much as I like do enjoy pop when I hear it, it's not like a genre. I don't have anything bad to say about it. It's not a genre where I'm like, ooh, let's dig deep. Let's see what we can find. Even though I know there's a lot there to talk about.
But
so
you
that's
see,
what we're
this
gonna,
one,
we're
the
gonna do today.
songwriting, the songwriting is just, and like it's just so good and it's classy and it's well done. And I'm so excited I'm just gonna watch your whole face the whole time because it's gonna be a raw reaction, like a real one. Okay, so let's just get going. We're gonna analyze the song. I'm gonna analyze the vocals for you guys. So and yes, so far when we are both of us together, it's a little longer than our usual reaction videos, so just bear with us if it's if we do a 1 hour long video over a 3 minutes song.
And that's the thing. That's actually one thing I want to say. So in our past two videos have had an overwhelmingly good response. People have liked it. People really love just hearing you and I like nerd out about vocals, because like between the two of us, we have like, if we add up the amount of time that you and I have been involved in our respective genres, it's like over 30 years of experience, right?
Yeah.
And people who are interested in that love to watch it. But like some people have really hated the long form. And like, if that's you, if you're watching this video, I just want you to know it will not change. You are not our target demographic. And if you complain about it in the comments, everybody's going to be like, you did this to yourself, because the the length of time is on the thumbnail. If you don't want to watch an hour-long video, why are you clicking an hour-long video, you punk?
Yeah, just don't click on it. But I mean, I love the
and I don't want to rush it
format,
either.
so like I just love the format. So okay, let's get started. Are you ready?
Yeah.
And you're going to tell me
pumped.
when to stop, okay? Because I'm controlling the music, but yeah, like...
You want me to tell you when to stop? You're the expert, though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you do it because you're the expert. You're gonna have a more trained ear when it comes to like this sort of thing.
Right.
Yeah, go ahead whenever you're ready. I'm excited.
I'm so sorry to to cut the song because it's your first time listening. But yeah, enjoy. Okay, let's get started.
I just woke up from a dream where you and I had to say goodbye, and I don't know what it all means, but since I survived I realized wherever you go, that's where I'll follow. Nobody's promised tomorrow, so I'ma love you every night like it's the last night, like it's the last night. If the world was ending, I'd wanna be next to you. If the party was over and our time on earth was through, I'd wanna hold you just for a while and die with a smile. If the world was ending, I'd wanna be next to you.
The way he resolved that chorus, da, 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 right? Yeah, that was classy. It's why? Yeah, like on the 7th it's interestingly, when I first heard this song, when the song first started just now, and he was doing like strumming the chord, the guitar and everything, I was like, obviously this is not a post rock song, but it has kind of like a post rock ish chord progression and vibe in the sound, right? And then like bands like Loathe and which I'm not saying Loathe is a post rock band, but bands like Loathe who have a lot of those elements love to resolve on the 7th, and he just did it too. And I was like, oh, that's classy. So I have a lot of observations about his voice, but I don't know. Do you want to take the reins, or do you want?
I mean, let's just go back.
I say go for it.
So the first, I mean, it's so simple what he does in the intro, but it's just like it puts the vibe, just a little ooh in a head voice with like a delay, so we hear it twice. Like a little echo. That's just super cute. So yeah, so that's his head voice. And then what I love about the verse is that he shows us like his power, like his chest voice, but not all the time. He kind of is like, it's like a teaser of what's coming, you know? So like, and then you'll see. So here, a little teaser. That's kind of an energy he's gonna have also in the chorus. But then the sentence after, he goes into this, I call this a chest mix, a chest dominant mix. So it's like, it's another tone. Come back, like, do you hear that?
Oh yeah, most definitely.
So that's like I'm giving you something, and then, but it's not. I'm not giving you all of my, how do you say, munitions? Like all of my cards. I'm not showing you all of my.
Yeah, you're not.
My game.
Yeah, you're not putting all you're not like putting all your cards on the table right away.
Like, oh, I have this one, but I'm gonna take it back, and then I'm just gonna show you a soft one, and then it's gonna appear again. So I just find it like super classy and tasty to do it like that too. Oh yes, and I wanted to see with you like all of the raspiness on that word. Is it healthy? Do you think it's healthy, or do you think it's just he has nuts in the?
Play it again.
Okay.
And I don't know what it all means, but since I survived, I realized
it was really gentle.
Yeah, super gentle. You know, the interesting thing about Bruno Mars is that like his rasp and his grit, you know, is it always has sounded a bit dry to me. It's always sounded a bit dry and a bit like wheezy. Now, not necessarily like critiquing him, because like sometimes people have the idea that any grit falls under my purview, but like not all grit is like deathcore and death metal grit, right?
No.
So when I'm making these observations, like it's different from when I'm observing like a vocalist like Will Ramos or you know, Courtney LaPlante, where I can speak with a lot of like authority on their rasp. So, you know, I remember the first time I heard Bruno Mars, and he had that sort of like, you know, airy, kind of like raspy grit. I remember thinking to myself, like, it sounds a little bit wheezy. It sounds good. It sounds a little bit wheezy. But, you know, one thing is that he's had this career for a very long time, and he's been singing with his rasp for a really long time, and flipping the switch of his rasp very, very easily. That's one of the things I'm finding the most impressive about this, you know, as a, not just metal vocalists, but one of the main things that we as metal vocalists think about is pressure. Right. We think about air pressure, because there are times where our techniques require a lot more air pressure than you would ever want to put underneath your vocal cords. Right. Because we're using different tissues. And one thing that I'm finding really impressive, and this may be because of like, you know, his voice is running through a compressor, and sometimes that can make it sound this way. But I think that there's it's impressive how, you know, his chest mix, his like, you know, when he gets more towards like a brighter belt, when the rasp is on, when the rasp is off, it's the pressure feels even all the way through. Like if you listen to a band like, you know, Killswitch, or, you know, bands like that, you almost want to add weight to those belts, because you want those belts to sound intimidating and impressive and but on the other hand, like his voice sounds light and clean even when he's belting, and like it's just a stylistic difference. And so the fact that he can flip that switch of grit while keeping the sound even but also leaning into his voice, I'm like, dang, like that's like that's a really good sign. And it's like it's hard for me to think somebody who has that much control over their airflow and their voice would have just not focused on making their grit healthy for a while. Now there are a lot of professional vocalists that have grit that I'm very concerned about, like Post Malone. I love you, buddy, but like, I'm worried about you.
Yeah, you need to go see an ENT or something.
Yeah, but no, I would lean towards this being healthy. That would be my inclination for sure.
And also, like, further, I mean, you probably heard it, but he's flipping into a real head voice, and it's not I don't consider this a falsetto, because like in my books, like everybody has their definitions, but like falsetto for me is like the entry level of head voice when you're not trained. It's like the like,
I know some people that would ruffle their feathers.
Why?
That's cool. That's good. People I'm sure people get very passionate about their terms for head voice and falsetto. I mean,
it's working when I explain it like that to my students, because if I have falsetto, then I have head voice, and they're really separate, like people get really mixed up. So I call everything head voice, but I know falsetto is a term that people do use. So when they want to use it, I say, okay, well, this is your breathy, less trained head voice. Yeah. Because head voice can become super loud and can become not breathy at all and be louder than the freaking all the orchestra without a microphone. That's how head voice can become, like, with training. So so that's why I say it's like the entry level, and then we can train it. So I mean, he doesn't have an operatic head voice, but it's not just a basic falsetto. Let's just hear it again. I think it's a little further though.
Know what it all means.
Oh, the grit.
But since I survived, I realized wherever you go, that's where I'll follow. Nobody's promised tomorrow, so I'ma love you every night like it's the last night, like it's the last night. If the world was ending, I'd wanna be next to you.
That one.
Yeah, you're not flipping into that light head voice with swollen vocal cords. It's not happening. You know what I mean? And so that's a really good indicator that his voice is healthy. And it's just nuts to me how again, there's like, his voice stays so bright and full with no added darkness, because that's a lot of what you hear in my neck of the woods. And it's just like, dang, like it's so interesting, like the stylistic difference. And it really works for this song too. Like, can you imagine how much it would be ruined if he started throwing like some like overly dark, like the same melody, the same notes, but he's doing like, you know, like it would ruin it. It would ruin it. It sounds great. He is killing it right now for sure.
Exactly.
I mean,
okay, let's keep going. Let's listen to the chorus again, just because it's so good, and then go to the Lady Gaga part. But yeah, I just think it's mostly in his chest voice, but he's really like believing all the lyrics he's saying. Also, I don't know if you have the lyrics in front of you, but it's a beautiful story. It's like, I just woke up from a dream where you and I had to say goodbye, and I don't know what it all means.
Yeah.
But since I survived, I realized, and it's like the end of the world. And I feel maybe that's why it's like number one right now, that song, because like, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling the end of the world is getting closer and closer. And it's like, yeah, okay. So I feel the topic also, like the love story, but like, we don't know if we're gonna wake up tomorrow, you know? So it's very intense. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's just go to Lady Gaga with her cigarette. Don't do that, guys. Don't smoke.
Yeah, no, don't do it.
If the party was over and our time on earth was through, I wanna hold you just for a while and die with a smile. If the world was ending, I'd wanna be next to you.
Oh, forget it. So one thing I just gotta say before we even talk about the vocals, because I like there's a lot to talk about right now, and I got some questions for you. I love the look of this video. Like one thing about me is I'm not like super patriotic, you know, but I love just the aesthetic of just like Americana in general. I don't know what it is, but like the Dolly Parton hair, the powder blue, the white cowboy hat, the bright red contrast. Like I'm watching this and I'm like, I feel like this video, like whoever made this, they've been to the Grand Ole Opry. You know, I don't know what that is. It's like one of the most, not being a huge country person, you know, some people are probably going to be like, it's more than that. And of course it is. But it's like if you think about like country music in the United States, like a lot of that, like a lot of the big moments and a lot of like the main players played at the Grand Ole Opry. Okay. And Opryland is like, anyway, I'm going off on a tangent, but yeah, it's just, this has like, you know, the vibe of it. I'm almost like, you know, you know, but it's really good. No, you know, the most interesting, well, I don't know if it's the most interesting thing, but I wanted to pick your brain a little bit. Obviously the notes for them are a little different because they have different voices, but they're both, I wanted to know your take, because of the genre of music I'm in, we don't really do this, you know,
duets, or what are you not?
We don't really do. the way that they're hitting certain high notes,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So for her highest note that I heard, and I don't have perfect pitch, I have a little piano open,
Okay.
and I was like, finding out. So she hit a D5, and I believe for him it was a B4.
Yeah.
And one thing that a lot of students struggle with, a lot of people struggle with, is reaching that point in their voice with no sense of strain in their throat. And I definitely have like heard through the grapevine a lot of different methods. I don't sing like that in my band. I don't teach people to sing like that. So as somebody who does, I'm interested to hear like, what are some of the methods and mindsets and thoughts around helping people reach that place? Can anybody reach that place in their voice? Is it easier for some than others? Tell me all your thoughts around that.
Okay. I mean, what I'd like, I didn't want to cut the song just because it's your first time listening. I wanted to get the whole verse until the chorus, but I think we should like split, like go back and I'll explain all the vocal techniques because there are many that both of them are doing.
Feel free to get granular because if anybody's watched this far, they want to hear all the vocal nerdery.
Granular.
Please.
So first thing, your question: does anybody can reach those high notes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, first, anybody can stretch their voice, can reach higher notes than what they can do right now. Yes, these high notes. I think so. B4 and D5, D sharp 5, it's not so high, guys and girls. So I do think so. But is it going to be like a 100% chest voice for everybody? No. Some are going to have to mix with head. Some are going to be fully in head. It all depends because Bruno Mars is a tenor. And tenor is a very rare species. They're really rare. I had this talk with a baritone, a friend of mine. He's a classical opera baritone. And I wanted him, he gave me a couple of lessons this summer just for fun. Like we exchanged knowledge. And I said, okay, treat me like I'm a tenor because I'm an alto. So I'm like the lowest register for girls. And it's it's pretty much the same as a tenor. If you look at the notes, I'm like, treat me like a tenor because if the tenor can belt that note, I should be able to I want to sound like a guy. But he was telling me like there's a break in their register where they are able to break into another kind of chest voice. It's a little weird. I think they just have that's what he's telling me. From my knowledge, I think it's just they can stretch and mix more with their head voice without people noticing that it's mixing, and it always sound like chest voice. But us girls, we're gonna mix with a more head dominant mix more easily. So that's where we didn't really agree because he's a classical and I was a pop. I had my pop vision on it. So anyway, so tenors, they don't have lows. I have students that are tenors and I can sing lower than them. So imagine the lows are just not in your voice. So your talking voice, all of your life, you're going to talk a little higher than all the other guys out there that are baritones. Most, I think 70% of the baritones. I don't have my Google stats open, but it's like most of guys are baritones. And then there's another rare species. It's the bass, like very rare. So bass and baritones, they talk low. It's just, that's your comfort zone. So tenors, they talk high. They're going to laugh high. They're going to scream to their friends. They're going to shout out, high. They're already always belting, kind of like when they talk louder. So, so that's Bruno Mars. So that's very rare. If I have a student that is a bass, can he sing that like that? No. No. We're gonna have to transpose the song, and people, it's okay to transpose songs.
Yes,
repeat this. God. It's a mantra. It's okay. just it's okay, and it's the best thing to do most of the time.
I want to build on that for a second,
Yeah.
because I was literally having this okay, not the same conversation, a very similar conversation with my student just before we started doing this. Of course, we're working on like, like we're working on those noises. He's doing well, but it's so interesting. For some reason, we as humans have such a hard time accepting that our voice is a part of our body in the same way that everything else is. Like, so for example, my hands are much larger than my wife's hands. So if like she has to like if I need to get something from the bottom of a very narrow jar or something, I ask her to do it. You know,
can't.
But
you
like,
just can't.
Yeah, it's just not going to happen. But with our voices, we're like, there's got to be some technique. There's got to be some trick. There's got to be some. And it's like we can do so much with our voices, but so much of the reason our voice sounds the way it does is it's because of so much more than the vocal cords. It's because of how wide the opening of the laryngeal funnel is. It's about the shape. We all accept that our bodies are different shapes and therefore we'll be able to do different things. But our throat, no, it's impossible. I have to be able to hit don't worry. I am under no impression that I'm ever going to hit high notes the same way that Bruno Mars does. Do you ever run into that with students who kind of like view vocal exercises as recipes? Like, okay, if I do step 1 and step 2 and then step 3 and then I put them together, I will get this result. Do you ever run into that? Because I run into that all the time.
Yes, I do. However, I always leave the door open. That's another song from Bruno Mars. Okay. To the possibility that with time, we're going to unlock the recipe that they're really looking for. Because I understand them. Because I'm not a soprano, but I was hired for gigs to be a soprano. I needed to fake my way to these gigs, and I'm doing it like super well. And so that's kind of my strength, because I've struggled so much and I've worked so much to really understand the voice and how I can cheat my way. So when I say cheat, it's basically I'm going to mix my high notes. They're gonna sound from like when you hear me on stage, you think I'm belting like crazy. That you think that I'm using my chest voice like super high and that it's really difficult, but it isn't. I'm just putting on a show to make it look like but really I could do it like that. You see, so there's a lot that so I understand all of my students and I do believe in recipes, but I do believe also that it's not a fast recipe. It's not fast food, and it's gonna take time and practice.
Exactly.
And the students that put in the time, my best students. Okay, listen, because I know most of my students are gonna listen to this. You want to be my favorite student? Just follow all the exercises I gave you. Do them every day. Send me voice notes or whatever, and we're gonna get there so much faster than you think. So much faster.
That is my first lesson today. My boy Ethan, if you're watching this, what's up? We had this conversation. As I've been working with you, I've been teaching him the to help him get there. Okay. And we had our lesson and he's like, dude, I can do it like a flip of a switch. And I was like, what happened? And he's like, honestly, I just took your advice very seriously and I just practiced every day. And I was like, lo and behold, man. No, he's a great student, but like I was like, dude, you got to send an email out to all my other students and be like, hey, just do the thing.
Exactly, just do the exercises. And that's
Oh no, go ahead, please.
No, but that's it. I mean, that's like a vocal coach talk. But yeah, so I know that Bruno Mars and Lady Gaga, they did that. Okay, just understand that these artists, these superstars, they have a crazy discipline. That's why they are there. Like, that's why they are where they are. And they are athletes, basically.
Exactly. We it's so important to remember that when we're listening to these people, like we are listening to people who, like, I think I saw an interview with Bruno Mars back on Ellen, the Ellen show, before that whole thing fell apart. And he was talking he's like, yeah, I've been singing since I was like 6. And I started like really, I'm pulling these numbers out of my ass because I don't remember exactly.
I saw clips of him super young. Yeah. In Hawaii, like doing shows.
And he wasn't just like singing for fun. He was like at that young of an age. Now, that doesn't mean that if you're like, you know, in your 20s and 30s, it's too late. It just means you're going to have to work hard, right? So anyways, I could go on and on
it's really
about
not
that
too
for a
late.
long
I have a
time.
student. I think it was 38, almost 40. He started, I'm also giving piano lessons. So he just started piano, and piano, I'm like, oh my God, piano is the hardest thing to start when you are an adult, because it's like, it's hard on the brain and the coordination. He's a freaking genius. I had to send him
Really?
to another coach, like a better pianist. We did 6 months together. I'm like, okay, well, you're already like, what happened? So it can happen. You can like, unlock a hidden talent, but he was putting in the work for sure.
Discipline.
Oh yeah,
sure.
really discipline. Like, all right, so let's just go back, and I'm going to analyze, as if you were my student.
Yes.
What I think Lady Gaga is doing with her voice, and even maybe Bruno Mars when they sing both together. So, first step, you remove the cigarette.
Step 1, get rid of that cigarette.
Yeah, stop smoking.
Yeah.
And I saw live performances, and she doesn't smoke, okay? So.
Yes.
Lost in the words that we scream. I don't even want to do this anymore.
Yeah. Tell me about it, because I hear it. Tell me about
You hear it, huh? You hear the first resonance. So, twang. Twang, 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 twang is the way.
It is the way. Yes.
Yeah. So, and I don't want to do this. And don't think that twang means nasal. It doesn't. Do you have students that sometimes mix both of them, twang and nasal?
Yes. So this is as you remember. This is mostly for viewers who maybe this is their first video of a Kardavox video. One of the first things that we kind of like were like, oh hell yeah, common ground, was that the importance of twang. Because I teach my students twang a lot. Now, the twang we're learning is just to help us get somewhere else.
Yeah.
So it's maybe not as beautiful. But I would say when I'm working with students on twang, la, almost all the time they go, they get like really like, really like nasal. And so
if you do that and it changes.
Yep. Exactly. That's the same thing I have them do, right? And so it's really once you can hear it, it's obvious. But yeah, like twang is not nasality, but to the untrained ear, it sure sounds like it, right?
Yeah, because it's actually made in the
made,
back. Do you like? That's how I train it. Like it's like we're actually squeezing the tube of air. The French term is sphincter epiglottique. I don't know what the English term is. Sorry.
It would be epiglottic sphincter, but
there you go, epiglottic sphincter.
The word sphincter over here is maybe a little bit different connotation. So,
but I don't name that. Like it's just when I was doing training, more scientific training for myself. That's how I knew about it. But students, I'm trying not to, like as less terms as possible and as much feelings as possible. That's how I coach. So but basically it's like you can feel the squeeze. It's like you're eating something very sour. So what is the it's lost in the words that we, and I don't want to do this anymore. So it's not in my nose, but it's twangy. So it's, I don't want to do this instead of like no twang. No twang is not bad. It's just really different. So that gives like the little country soft ballad vibe. And and it really helps to put twang in your lower notes before doing your belt, because you're going to need belt. You're going to need twang. Sorry. You're going to need twang in your belt. Belt is like a recipe and twang is part of it. Is one of the
Yes. And it's crazy. It's I like the sour candy cue. I've never used that. I'm going to use that with my students too, because that's a really good one.
Yeah, when they don't crazy. Get it, you just make them like swallow and sing right after. You don't even inhale. You don't like and you're already placed because the tongue is like in the back. The root of your tongue is super high. So, but yeah, if you want to have lessons about twang, hit me up. Okay.
Yes, like if you want to use twang to actually sing beautifully, Verona would be the one you talk to, because I teach people twang so that you know the use of twang in metal vocal, it's various, but like, you know, if somebody's screaming like really low, like that, you can't use it. So instead of yeah, like it's yeah, it's a lot better and
so beautiful.
It's twang. Thank you, appreciate it. But no, yeah, like the moment she brightened up her voice, and it's really nice too. I don't know about best thing, but one thing I really like about twang is that when it's used the way she used it, right after a warmer tone, it really like, it's very like attention getting. It's very it cuts through the song, but not in an inviting way, not in an abrasive way. And it was a great way to like smoothly transition from him to her, you know. Compositionally really cool choice. I like it. Anyways, that's all I got.
Yeah, that's very good. Okay, let's just listen to it again and then I'll go a little further. So you hear the ooh, as you said, there's not a lot of twang in it, but then la she put it on the word when she arrives.
Yeah.
Lost in the words that we scream. I don't even want to do this anymore. 'Cause you already know what you mean to me.
What a beautiful harmony. So that's,
it is beautiful harmony.
Yeah, it's very good. So that's belt. So what is belt? I'm saying belt since the beginning of the of the video.
Yeah.
So for those who don't know, basically belting is in its most basic form, because you have like many variations, but it would be your talking voice on a higher pitch, louder, a little bit like you're screaming for someone, like a little far away. And usually, to make it sound prettier than just a scream, you're going to also cry a little bit into it. So there's like the shouting and the cry that makes it rounder. But it's your talking voice, basically. But to reach something a little further and higher. So they're both like, oh my God, don't leave me. You know? Like I'm shouting like that. And oh, so that's what I mean by shouting and crying at the same time. So this would be how to access your belt easily.
Shout and cry.
It's not easy for everybody. So I have exercises if you need. And it shouldn't hurt, okay? Belt should be comfortable.
Yes. And, you know, surprisingly, you know, because like I'm trying to think of how I talk about it, because like I belt a lot, but I wouldn't teach belting. I would send them to you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I would send them to you, but I belt all the time in Kardashev. And like when I'm belting properly and when I'm really warmed up, it also feels very light.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like there's not like a buildup of a ton of pressure in my throat or face. It's a weird contrast, because the amount of when I'm doing it properly, the amount of effort I'm expending doesn't feel like it should be that powerful.
I know.
But it is that powerful.
I know. That's good.
You know?
Exactly. So when you arrive to that sound, yes, there is energy. Like you cannot be just like in belt.
No, yeah.
You need to be invested, but you're not.
Exactly.
The thing about belt that people don't know, that when I give a class and I tell them this, they're like, what? That's one of the placement that requires the less air.
Yep.
That was usually huge for me. When your voice cracks, just remember that a voice crack is only too much air for that particular note. So your voice cracks into head voice or falsetto, which can have more air. Like they can survive with more air. So they crack. It's like it's a safety mechanism. So don't be mad at yourself when your voice cracks. It's your body protecting you from having nuts.
When, let's say you get a student, this is a question I wanted to ask you last time and I didn't ask you last time. Would you teach a student how to belt, if that's like they're like, I've never done a singing lesson before, I just sing in my car for fun, but I really want to learn how to belt. I'm getting lessons to learn how to belt. Obviously students are different and it's hard to blanket everything, but like if you had a student with no real true singing experience, would you be like, okay, lesson 1 on belting, like what's your methodology? Or are you generally like, well, I'll teach you how to belt, but we got to get you there, like what's kind of like your methodology there?
I don't think belting is a technique that we should be afraid of. Like it's not
Okay.
It's not. Yeah, send them to me, send them over. I'm like have no problem teaching that at all. Yeah, we can, and I got a lot of students that we unlocked the belt first class.
Oh, really?
They belt for the first time in the first class. Yes. Yes. So I mean, it all depends. Like the ones that it doesn't happen as fast are the ones that are super shy. And they're just like really, 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 really shy, and they are afraid of making a mistake. These people, it's because I'm going to go to their pace and that's going to take more time. But it's not the instrument that cannot handle it. It's the it's the mindset.
The mentality.
Yeah.
Yeah. The fear of making a mistake is one of the biggest things that gets in the way of you know, even in the harsh metal world. And I sometimes what I do with my students in I don't do it very much, but I'll be like, okay, let's say you fuck it up big time. What's gonna happen? Like in this lesson, what's gonna happen? And nothing's gonna happen. Like so I even sometimes like do the whole, I don't know if you've seen the movie Jurassic Park, but I'll be like, what's gonna happen if you make it? No one cares. I don't care. If you could sing perfectly, why would we be talking?
Yeah.
We wouldn't be talking, you know?
Especially
that's a huge one.
Like in a safe space, as like a singing class is the place where you're gonna make your mistake in front of someone that know what the mistakes mean. You know, I don't know if it's clear. It's like, okay, that type of mistake, it's a sign of this, so I'm gonna give you the exercise so that we can reinforce that. So sometimes when people have been singing a lot at home and their voice cracks, they're hurting themselves, or it's scratchy, or they're losing register, you know, like all the stuff that can happen with vocal health when you don't have a vocal coach. Well, that's why we're here. Like, you're gonna make a mistake and it's actually cool because I'm gonna take that mistake and it tells me something. Okay, so we need to work that. It's giving me more information about the student and about the instrument that I have in front of me. So yeah. So belting is not dangerous.
That's interesting. That's good. I always assumed that it's something that people would want to hold off for later, but that's interesting to hear.
There's a lot of teachers that there's a lot of teachers who don't teach belting. A lot
at all?
Yeah. So, and like me, like in Montreal, I'm like one of the top pop coaches because almost all of the others are classically trained, and classical is kind of not all of them are against it, especially if they also do musical theater, so they know about belting. But like if they've just been doing opera, they don't belt at all. Belting is not part of the technique, so they just cannot teach it. And a lot of artists that belt, they don't know how they do it, so they don't teach it because it's just natural for them. So they're like,
that's interesting.
I'm just singing my song. I don't even know what belt is.
That's very interesting. I was not aware of that because, you know, there are so many people that have belted for decades as part of their career and their voices are fine. You know, and like also belting is like a very important like survival mechanism. Like imagine like back in the day when we were running around, you know, no civilization. What were we doing if we saw a lion? We're like, yo, buddy, right? Like there's a lion over there, you know? And so it seems to be like,
that's true.
It's always made sense to me that belting would be difficult for somebody to do intentionally, but it always to me seemed like it would be a natural part of our repertoire. Yeah. Like a sound that we're built to make. So anyway, people are probably like, just play the damn song.
Just play the damn song. So okay, so that's the part where they belt in harmony. So beautiful.
Interesting.
I know what you mean to me, and all of the only war we're fighting for. Wherever you go,
Did you hear that?
Sorry, I was like, this is gonna sound so dumb, but I was like really focusing a lot on like the color grading, and I was like, dang, how do they get these colors to be so soft? like the colors are popping, but they're so soft at the same time. I'm sorry.
The music nerd in me just want to show you that the harmony went from minor to major. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Yes, I'm sorry. Play it again. I'll be good. I'll be a good student. I'll pay attention when you talk.
And I can. Okay, so I'll point it out.
Where you go, that's where I'll follow. Nobody's promised tomorrow, so I'ma love you every night like it's the last night, Beautiful, right? Last
Beautiful.
night.
Yeah.
They're both different. Okay. Anyways, that was like the first time I heard it. It was like,
It's awesome.
So
and
pretty.
it's really cool how like not only are they like obviously they're doing a harmony, so their melodies, you know, are complementing each other, but their voices are really complementing each other, because as he belts, he's got a little bit of that natural rasp that we've talked about, but as she belts, her voice is very, very clean and clear. So like we have like the harsher texture and the cleaner texture together, so it adds like another layer. Their voice, you know, sometimes you hear a duet and you're like, their voices don't really work together, but Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars, their voices really complement each other very, very well.
Yeah,
it's a smart pair up.
Exactly as you said, like I think is that what you're saying? Like when Bruno Mars is a little bit more raspy, she's cleaner, and when she's raspy, he's cleaner. Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
It's really good.
That's very, very nice. So it demands a lot of control because, that's what I wanted to ask you. What about how can I achieve that beautiful that Lady Gaga is doing at the end?
So I'ma love you every night.
This one.
So this is where the methodology of getting rasp gets a little bit out of my territory. Kind of like I said at the beginning, you know, not all grit is death metal and deathcore grit. But one thing that I do know is that you generally want to start with the type of grit that feels comfortable. A lot of times I'll talk with people, and again, I don't really teach like gritty singing very much. Sometimes I do if they're looking for like really like heavy grit singing, which is really just like a metal vocal technique with pitch underneath it. So it's a little bit different than this, which is a clean singing technique with a little texture on top. Yeah. But I think the best thing that you can do if you've never really intentionally done grit is always accidental, is play around with different sounds at like a speaking level and find what's comfortable versus being like, oh, fry grit, oh, false chord grit. Because I'm a big believer in that when approaching any sort of distorted or extended vocal style, maybe extended is not the right word. You really have to see what your body wants to do naturally versus forcing it into any other spot. I will say that oftentimes gritty singing techniques involve some sort of additional closure in the vocal tract. So you kind of have to get comfortable like squeezing in areas maybe you wouldn't, but it's a lot less than you would think. It's a lot less than you would think that you need. So could I teach you to sing that way? Probably not, but I could give you some insight into how she's doing it, which is part of the reason I'm having so much fun with this, honestly, because sometimes I'm like, dang, I want to hear something where I'm like surprised, you know? So,
I knew you would be surprised about that one. Yeah, it's so good.
They sound great.
Yeah,
they sound phenomenal. And I'll tell you this as well, because I do dabble in gritty singing of my own sometimes. It's similarly to belting, similarly to projecting. It doesn't take a lot of pressure in your throat. If you feel like, you know, now some harsh vocals do, but they're pitchless, generally speaking.
Okay.
But if you're trying to sing with grit and you feel like you're clenching to make that grit happen, then you're definitely way out of balance for sure. Way out of balance for sure. So
me, it happens. I can have grit sometimes, but it just happens live.
And so
magic.
One of the things that I would
hurt.
Yeah.
And I can even control where to put it and to remove it.
Also, just do that a lot. When you find it, that's like one of the most important things. And a lot of what we do in my lessons, like we'll just kind of like make goofy noises. Again, we're trying to sound like deathcore vocalists, but when they find it, you pay attention to it. Yeah. You stop the car, you pull over, and you know, you like go around in that space. And then you do that, you make that your practice focus. You make that your practice focus all the time. And you just teach your brain what that sweet spot is and you hang on to it. You memorize the feeling, the sensation. So you probably like in your body know everything that you need to know. You just have to hang on to it and pay extra attention
And it
to it.
happened recently. I was doing a live stream on TikTok just for fun. That's something I do. Sometimes you can follow me on TikTok. I do free concerts.
Link in the description below.
Yeah, the description below. Yeah, because I noticed that when I practice by myself, it's like I'm so used to the stage and the adrenaline that I practice better with, I don't know, a live stream. So now when I practice, I'm just opening my live stream. And it was like, I think a week or two after our second lesson of when you gave me harsh vocal lessons. So I feel it maybe practicing, clean singing separately and then harsh vocal singing separately. I think the mix can kind of happen by magic after, I think.
Yeah.
Well, that happened
I think
to
so.
me, but I'll have to pay more attention to it. Okay, let's keep going. We're almost done. And now we're to talk for... I hope people are enjoying. I'm enjoying the talk.
So I'ma love you every night like it's the last night. Like it's the last night. If the world was ending, I wanna be next to you. If the party was over and our time on earth was through, I wanna hold you just for a while and die with a smile. If the world was ending, I'd wanna be next to you.
Okay,
interesting.
just a note about the really high harmony. Let's listen to it again. What is that? That's a E. This is mixed voice.
nuts.
This is not belting. Okay.
Okay.
Did you think it was belt?
I was more focused on the shape of his mouth.
Yeah, okay.
I was more focused on the way he was shaping his vocal track to facilitate the note to begin with. Wide open.
Yeah.
Not smiling too much.
Exactly. I was talking about it like last video we talked about, like I told you that I'm always practicing the vertical shape with my students and you were really like, what? I've never heard about it. And this week I have a student from Kardavox. He took lessons with other singing coaches before in the USA. And he told me they don't teach that in the USA. They always teach to smile. So that's I was very surprised and be super horizontal. So I'm like, what? And I told him, I mean, you can keep your smile and drop your jaw. So, and that's what Bruno Mars is doing. That's what we're seeing.
Yeah. Like it's wide, sure, but it's very tall.
Exactly.
It's very tall.
Don't do it like that.
Interesting. Yeah.
Die! It's going to be horrible. Die!
Yeah.
Okay, that was horrible too, but I didn't warm up. I'm joking.
Don't worry. I'm not expecting you to be Bruno Mars at the drop of a hat on a random note. If anybody is, they're just ridiculous. Like, don't worry. You're fine.
Yeah, but I mean, it would work like that. So show your teeth, but drop your chin. Okay, let's just end this beautiful song.
If the world was ending, I'd wanna be next to you, right next to you,
There it is.
next to you, right next to you. If the world was ending, I'd wanna be next to you. wanna be next to you.
It's so pretty. It's so good.
I love how they I love how they go back and forth on the way that they resolve things.
Yeah.
I think that's my favorite part. I think that's my favorite part of the song, and that's very often my favorite part of many songs is how like chords or how melodies or chord progressions or melodies are resolved. I love when it is a little different than what I expected, but it still works.
Each
I think that's
chorus
awesome.
is different. It's brilliant.
Yeah, there's a lot of subtle variety in this song that like I think sometimes, I think this does come up in my lessons actually a lot. I think sometimes pop gets like, from people outside of pop, it gets a bad rap for being like, oh, it's all just mass produced, all digestible, all easy to access. And I think that that's true to a lot. I think that's true for the portion of pop that is written that way. But I think that there's a lot of like, this song is a really good example of how like, no, there's some artistry here. There's some creative composition that, just because it's not like some out from left field avant-garde noise core, which listen, I like that stuff too. Right. I like that stuff too. There's a lot of stuff in here that even for people like us who have been listening to music and analyzing music and involved in music for a long time, still kind of catches us by surprise. And one thing that I thought was awesome, I don't know how they coordinated this, but there's one spot where she puts the cigarette between her teeth and she's singing lower in her chest, and it sounds like she's singing with a cigarette in her teeth.
That's
and
what
then
I
when her
was.
voice opens back up,
I'm sure in the studio she didn't have a cigarette, but she probably had like a pen like that.
A pen or a pencil. And I was like, were
Yeah.
they thinking about that? Because like if you sing, I don't have anything I could use. I have a metal straw, but I have metal on my teeth. Like I was like, she sounds like she's singing with a cigarette in her teeth. How cool is that? That is, I've never seen anything like that before. They must have been thinking about that. They must have been thinking about the music video.
Oh, for sure.
While they were thinking about that's so crazy. That's so cool. What a touch. That's awesome.
So
and then that like, well, you go ahead.
No, go ahead. I mean, it's your reaction. I mean, I love everything about that song. I'm obsessed.
That really high, bright, airy, like I would call it like, and this is your area, so please feel free to correct me.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about it. Like that really high, really connected, like mixy note that he did. Like
yeah, okay, let's listen to it again.
Mix is kind of what I would say.
That's right before the bridge. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not even. What is that?
It's very good.
E. That's an E5. Yes, it's E. That I love.
He has like
that. I feel like that has a lot of that cry that you were talking about.
Yes.
Like it's got a lot of that cry. Are you familiar with the group Dirty Loops?
I'm familiar. I've met them. I have pictures of me with them.
Really? So
yes. I love them.
I say Jonah. He probably pronounces it like Yona or something cool because I think he's from Sweden.
Yeah.
He sings in that space all the time, and every time he does, I'm always like, woof.
And
It's just I
seen
love
them
that
twice
sound.
live, and it's as good
Beautiful.
as the album, even better. And yeah, he's a genius, and he's really, really good. And he's so
insane.
tall, and his head is so
He's
big.
huge.
I thought I had a big head, and then
I
I did a selfie with him, and his head was like that big. It's like
yeah, he's like a mammoth of a dude.
It's crazy. He was a model.
but,
I've heard. Is that true? I heard that he was a model for like a boxer company.
I mean, probably like he's handsome as fuck. So I'm sure he was a model. Like he's definitely got that model vibe of like he's super handsome, but there's also something that's just a little bit different about him. Where you're just like, it's intriguing.
But yeah, that's definitely Jonah
yes.
from their Loops like placement. So it's again,
yeah,
it's head voice, but it's a strong head voice, and then at the end, the last note is super twangy. So a little cry to attack, and then to end it. Sorry, that was pretty loud, probably in my mic.
You're fine.
And then very good.
Like it's just nuts how he's
so less air
controlling that.
Yeah,
less air for sure.
No air in it.
It's crazy.
It's very good. It's very good.
Like I love how like Lady Gaga is like, like kind of like leaned like towards him, and like he like it's like there's a lot of like really good storytelling. You were talking about like to sing this way you have to sell it, and that's so true, because like, you know, obviously they're singing like they're not actually in love with each other, they're not actually like married or in a relationship, but they're selling it as if they are. Like you listen to this song and you could believe that they're deeply in love with each other.
Yeah.
And you know, that's one of the things that is very difficult to teach. And, you know, that's one benefit of harsh vocals is that like, and this is just true. Every time I say this, like really intense, like heavy, harsh vocal aficionados get mad at me. Not often. There's always like one or two in the comments who are like, actually, but it's like, as we create more and more niche sounds with our voice, like okay, like this sound is really really cool, and obviously I love it because I built a career off of teaching people how to go like, you know, but what emotion is that? Like what story am I telling? Like, does, you know, and so like it's tough enough teaching, like how do you teach students to like sell something emotionally? Because, you know, you could listen to somebody who is pitch perfect, airflow's perfect, everything's perfect, but there's no emotion and it's boring.
Oh yeah, and it's so funny that we talk about
boring.
that today, because today we're filming, it's August 29, and tomorrow I have a students concerts for the students that come in here in person, that I teach in person.
Oh yeah,
I do organize sometimes concerts for them. And that was the topic of the last few weeks. So like we learned the songs, they know that they know how to sing it. It's on pitch. They got the lyrics by heart, and then the last classes are all about interpretation. So I mean, I have many techniques. So you have to take a class with me about it, and that's one of my. I've been told in my career that that's my. Because yes, I'm a good singer, but there are a lot of great vocalists out there. There are vocalists that have better abilities than me or whatever, like, but they're going to give me the gig, or I'm going to be able to sell tickets because, or I'm going to get the crowd, even if they don't know me, they're going to stay for the whole show because I'm able to tell a story. Even if when I was in cover bands, every song I made it a promise to myself, if I sing I Will Survive, I will fucking survive. Like, you
can't sing I Will Survive and not be emotionally present.
Oh yeah, you can. I have like, so many friends, singers, that they're thinking about what they're gonna cook for dinner the next day.
No.
While they're singing I Will Survive. That's what singers do.
It's a disservice.
But I mean, when
it's a disservice to the song.
But when you've been singing it 1,000 times, like you really have to. Every moment is a new moment. So, but yeah, that's what I mean. That's like one of my, I think, something I've worked a lot in my life, and now it pays off, and I can teach it because I've worked on it. I remember that coach I had when I was, I think, 17. I was in college, and she just destroyed me. I had the perfect voice. Everything was fine. Know my lyrics. And then she was like, I don't believe you. I was singing the song and she was stopping me all the time. I don't believe it. This is fake. She was just yelling at me throughout the song. And I finished the lesson and I was crying. I'm like, okay, I'm such a bad singer. Like, there's no emotion in my voice. I was like, my career is over. Like, what? Because I was so like studious, and I was just thinking about the technique and having the perfect sound. And then the next class, so she left me cry for a week, and then the next class, like she had studied in theater, and she showed me techniques, and I've worked on them, and I've also created some with my students to unlock this, because I understand, I've been through this. So yeah, one tip I can give you, free tip for those who made it that far in the video.
Free tip, please.
Yeah, so it's an awkward exercise. You sing to yourself in the mirror. I would do it a cappella, so you can really sing it the pace that you want, and you look in your eyes non-stop. You cannot, like, in between sentences, you cannot look elsewhere. You cannot look at your hair. You cannot look at your shoulder, or you have to stay. You're looking your like I'm looking at the camera like right now. So you look.
I know I'm doing it. I'm like looking. I'm like, okay,
You look.
you know.
So yeah, like if I just and if you're not able to sing it, like I just woke up from a dream, because some students they're gonna look, but there's nothing happening. So that's the first step. First step is just you being able to look at yourself. And that might be like, okay, well, now we know that there's nothing happening. Second step is remove the notes. Just tell your text. And imagine that the eyes that you're looking at, yes, they are yours. But imagine that they are someone else's eyes. And you're actually saying the lyrics to them. So like, I just woke up from a dream where you and I had to say goodbye. And I don't know what it all means. So so you have like you have to tell the story. So that's the second step. And so you do your whole, and you're gonna know it when you talk it. Like there's gonna have you're gonna have a rhythm. You're gonna, the emotions are gonna happen. Something in you is gonna unlock. Like, whew, I just did the first 3 sentences. I'm like, oh, that's a little uncomfortable. I'm becoming emotional, And then you go, you do that. You can also film yourself. So you put your phone or whatever here in front of you and you look at yourself in the mirror, and then you rewatch yourself and you'll see if you're right, if you're true. Like, do you mean what you say? You're going to see it. Like if it would be in a TV show, would that be a good scene?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of acting and singing. A lot of acting.
There is so much. There is so much acting in singing and even harsh vocals as well. Obviously in harsh vocals, we're working often with one emotion or like a span of like 4 or 5. I'm going to get some actuallys in the comments for sure. And, one thing I tell my students is like, you have to actually look pissed. Like, one exercise I do with them is like, I call it angry ABCs. And because the goal is that if you were on stage and you were screaming the ABCs and everybody in the audience knew it was still the ABCs, could you make them do the stank face? Because there's nothing about the ABCs that's like brutal or heavy. But if it was like, everybody in the crowd was listening to you go like, hey, potato, tom, bum, banana, beep, would they still be like, like you have to sell something kind of mundane. That's one of my favorite exercises. I don't know how that would work for clean singing, but it works for harsh vocals very well.
But
that's interesting.
Hard,
that's
but there's so much stuff that unlock in the voice when we do the interpretation exercises. Some stuff that we would take so many hours to get the tone there that just unlock pow once you're connected to your real self and your real emotions,
Sure.
So
interesting.
It's very, very interesting.
Well, that's an hour and 18 minutes. And
okay,
I think you've got
so I think we
10.
got this. So I hope you enjoyed the song. It was.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. I did. I enjoyed the song very well. I do think I won't go too much into it, but I am surprised that it is, at almost 34 million views. Not because it's a bad song. I think it's a great song, but I just didn't expect that a song like this would be making waves. But you know what? Like you said, there's a certain element of like, feeling what they feel that I think resonates with many people at all. There's always a large part of ourselves that always feels a little bit despondent, like, is the world really falling apart? So I think that makes sense. But let's go ahead and let's close it out. And you know what? This is your video, so why don't you close it out? You tell people where to find you, tell people all that stuff. And you know what? At the end of every video, I always say many thanks, much love, I'm out. But now you can do any sign off you want. You don't have to say what I say. You can say whatever you want. This is your gig. I'm just gonna sit absolutely.
Well, thanks
silently.
for watching. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Let us know in the comments if it was your first time discovering the Kardavox Academy channel, or if you were there before and did you enjoy learning about a pop song today instead of a harsh heavy metal rock song. And I think both can be very great to analyze. So my name is Verona. I have some music out. I have an album. I have many singles, and I'm working on a new project too, coming soon. So the links are going to be below if you want to check them out. And Mark also you have your band. You're going on tour. You're going at a big gig soon, right?
Just a festival. Yeah, we're
Okay.
playing in Germany in October. We're
That's
playing Euroblast,
crazy.
not a tour, just a festival.
Oh, so humble.
Yeah, it'll
so
be fun.
humble. And we're both vocal coaches. So if you want to learn how to scream, you go to Mark. If you want to learn how to sing, you come to me. It's on the Kardavox website. So just hit us up, and we'll be glad to be with you to help you with your vocal journey. So yeah, take care. See you soon. Ciao.